G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the east side of the map in the colour yellow. Playing as the English, it's Lucifer 7. And on the west side of the map, playing in the colour blue also as the English, it's Vortex. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Battle of the Brothers. Two of the world's best players going up against each other in EGC TV's Golden League 2. These two players made it through the entire, I guess you'd call, first stage undefeated. Not a single person before them has defeated the other. The other? You get the point. These guys haven't lost yet. Neither of them have lost yet. And that's big, because this is the first time they're going to be facing each other. This is as high as it goes. There's nobody else that has played that hasn't lost a series. Beastie's lost a series. B has lost a series. Marine Lord's lost a series. Puppy Paw has lost a series. Everyone's lost a series except for these two guys. This is the top of it. But this isn't the end of it, by any means. In fact, no. The grand final, as far as I'm aware, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think the winner of this series will go on to the grand final, and then the loser will drop down into the double elimination bracket, and then have a chance to go up against a third place person, who will then potentially determine who is going to be playing up against the winner. So there's a lot on the line. Let's just put it that way. But let's talk a little bit about this match. Just before we move on, of course, 15 GMT, 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Australian time. Those are the times, those are the dates. Every Saturday and Sunday as well. Go check out EGC TV. Links in the description. Go watch it live. It's a lot more exciting when it's live, because you never know what's going to happen when it's live, and you can do all your pog champs in the chat. It's so much fun. So much fun. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about... Oh, look at this. So beautiful coming in from Lucifer. I love this. Just that tiny little attention to detail right there. He sees the scout coming along with the sheep, walks out the villager trying to kill the sheep, but obviously Vortex turns it around. So we got ourselves an English mirror. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I think we got an English mirror. Number one, this map. It is a map that favors the English. Now, why does it favor the English? Because, well, the English are very good on mirror maps. The reason why the English are so good on mirror maps is because of their men-at-arms. Now, interestingly, neither player here is going for men-at-arms early on. We're just going for a little bit of a fish boom. Nothing too crazy just yet. Everyone's just going to be aging up, I suspect, and you can see everyone's, yeah, like we already got 9 vills, 10 vills on food. So no sign of any early barracks coming out from either of these players, which I suspect is mainly because they can defend it. Think about it from the perspective of a defender, right? Like, let's say that your enemy is making men-at-arms, and then all of a sudden you've got to defend. Well, what do? You go to men-at-arms yourself. Problem solved. So I think that it's likely that they're not looking to play men-at-arms just simply because they know that their enemy's got men-at-arms. It's an interesting way that it plays out. So I've really got no idea when it comes to this matchup how it's going to go down. So I think the best thing we can do is just we just sit back, we watch what these guys do, we watch how they play it. It's obviously a hybrid. This is EGC TV's Canal for anybody who doesn't know. So obviously not a ranked ladder map, just to run you a little bit through the map. So you do have water that goes all the way up here. You can get ships up along here. The only thing is that you're not going to be able... Actually, I don't know if you can get ships along here. I know you can get ships along here. So maybe you can't build along here, or maybe... I'm not sure exactly how this works, but the important thing that you need to know is that fishing boats or fishing spawns don't spawn until quite a bit further up the river. So you can't make that dock right here and then begin fishing. It's actually up the river that you've got to begin fishing. And then that kind of promotes that aggression. So I do expect there to be a little bit of water combat, but at the same time, I suspect players are just going to look to wall each other off, and then that way it's kind of like you keep your side, I'll keep my side, and I'll meet you in the middle kind of thing. So we'll have to wait and see how they play, but yeah, I would be surprised if we saw Abbey of Kings coming out. I suspect we're probably going to be seeing Council Halls, just because it does give you those options towards the Castle Age. So still no sign of an Abbey just yet. I've been kind of waiting for the Abbey to bring itself out in the meta, but maybe it's a specific matchup that it'll need to come out. Definitely a lot more popular landmarks at the moment than the Abbey of Kings, but we do have the age up coming down from Vortex. It's going to be the Council Hall as well, so don't get too excited now. And I guess the question is, where do they go when it comes to compositions? Like unit compositions. I suspect Longbow is probably going to be quite good in this, because the Longbow, obviously, it's better than the standard Archer. It does more damage, it's got more range. And one of the counters to my favorite combination, which is Spearman crossbow is just mass longbow. The problem is longbows obviously lose to knights, so it's very easy to switch into knights, especially if you're considering going something like the White Tower, which we have seen players look to do on this map. So that could be something to flag, something to keep open. So, you know, watch out for that. But interestingly, no walls in the center just yet. We do see the vills moving up. Okay, there's the walls coming down. So this is going to be saying, hey, you just keep your side, I'll just keep my side. I reckon we're probably going to have castle ages coming through here. I mean, you might see a couple of longbowmen, but I don't think you're going to see anything too crazy in the feudal age. Just because it makes a lot of sense for these guys to be looking to age up quickly. They've got such huge economies here, and there's always a risk if you don't age up and your enemy does, and they get to castle age, and they get knights in your base. How are you going to defend against that? And there's the counter wall now coming out. It looks like the scout might be moving forward to potentially block it, but I suspect even then Vortex will just say, I kind of want you to get your wall up because I don't want to risk there being a challenge to my side. And he does exactly that. He did have the opportunity to go and stand in the way, but he allows him to get it up. So we do have a lot of villagers on gold, and we do have double broadaxe coming through. There's the handful of longbows in queue at the moment. 2 longbows. He's not going too aggressive, just going to be looking to deny scouting potentially from his opponent. And that scout is immediately going to see the longbows, and he doesn't know how many longbows are going to be coming out from behind this, so he may look to loop around towards that enemy base, and he's actually just going to spot out the one vills. Also sees the villager from Lucifron coming back. Take a look at this. We do actually have a galley in queue, so maybe just looking to defend against any early aggression. The thing with the galley is that the longbow actually outranges the galley by quite a mile. So it can be very hard if your enemy builds up a longbow mass trying to deal with that. We do see players now going for those longbows, but at the same time, you can see by the gold count here, the fact that there's 8 villagers on gold. Vortex definitely intent on getting up to the castle age quickly. Does he go for a white tower? If he goes for a white tower, I tell you what, I'm feeling excited. This is one of my favorite builds, just going into that white tower, because to me, it's like a Burgrave, but it's a flexible Burgrave. Can you imagine if a Burgrave could also build cavalry and also build archers and also build siege? Well, there you go. You don't have to imagine. It's called the White Tower. It's available to the English and the castle age. Welcome to the real world. That is what we're dealing with right now. So yeah, I'm liking the fact that we've got this castle age coming through, and now you can see Lucifron going to be doing the same thing, obviously spotting out that his brother has picked up so many vills on gold here and says, well, I got to kind of match you here. I can't let you get up by yourself. But he does have the wheelbarrow in. He also has the double broadaxe, so a little bit more of a passive, a delayed age up coming through. Now, I'm curious to see whether we get one on the King's Palace and one on the White Tower. I think that would be quite interesting, because then that would really tell you, you know, or give you that opportunity to see, you know, which one's going to come out on top, because it's pretty even Stevens so far up until this game. The only real difference is you've got 10 fishing boats over here compared to the 10 fishing boats over here. King's Palace is going to be coming out for Vortex, so he's going to be opting for the safer route. I guess you'd definitely call this the safer route compared to the White Tower, which would be very much the all-in route. We'll have to look and see what Lucifron does. From his perspective, though, he's got no idea what his brother's up to. He's got no idea what the landmark is going to be. He doesn't know whether it could be the White Tower, potentially looking to all-in. I'm curious to see, you know, I would love to see a White Tower versus the King's Palace. The only difference is that this one is quite a bit earlier than Lucifron. So even if you've got the White Tower coming out from Lucifron, I still feel like you might have the tools that you need to deal with that. And I guess you've also got the crossbows that could come out. So maybe King's Palace just makes a lot of sense in this situation. Just considering the fact that both of them are going to be going into that castle age. Let's have a look and see what the landmark's going to be. It is a double King's Palace coming out. So unfortunately, no White Tower. I did get a little bit hyped for a short moment there. But I've talked myself out of it. I've talked myself down from the ledge. But the age up coming through now for Vortex. Just going to see a nice little bump in his score, up by about 400 score there. Second town center out, now producing villagers. And I guess we can start talking about compositions. We obviously talked about it a little bit earlier. But one of the things to note, and I've tested this quite rigorously. So essentially, the best combination that you can make as the English is Knight Crossbow. Knight Crossbow will be Knight Longbow. It will beat Knight. And what I mean by Knight is just 100% Knights. Knight and Crossbow will beat 100% Knights. The only thing it will lose to are Knights and Horsemen. Actually, was it Knights and Horsemen? Yeah, Knights and Horsemen. So the Horsemen actually do very well against the crossbows. And the other thing to note is it will lose to Spear Crossbow if there's a Mangonel. Spear Crossbow is a very strong combo against the Knight Crossbow. But the first Knight is going to be coming out. He's going to be able to clean up all of these Longbowmen. And I'm curious what direction Lucifron goes from. Now the age up comes through. Obviously, the stable isn't quite scouted, but the Knight definitely is. He sees the second one coming out. And I think there might almost be a question mark as, oh, how many stables are we talking about here? Is that 2? Is that 3? Over on the other side, take a look at that. We have got 3 stables thrown down for Lucifron. So no real surprises coming in at this point. I expect to see crossbows on the way shortly, though. 3 Knights now for Vortex as well. And we've got ourselves an English mirror. And you know what? I think this might be the first English mirror I'm actually casting. I don't think I've done an English mirror on this patch in this season. I might be wrong, but I don't remember any. I don't recall any off the top of my head. I might be a little bit crazy, but as the 10-minute mark rolls over, we'll switch those villager values to income values, so you get a better idea of where these guys are up to. You see the wheelbarrow coming through now for Vortex as he begins pushing out across the map. A couple more knights in queue for him. At the same time, Lucifron looking to intercept the knights of his brother, getting those big charges off. The charge, I don't know what happened there, but I didn't see any damage on that first charge. Is that a bug? I don't know if that was a bug. Did you guys see that as well? Go watch that again. Rewind the video 10 seconds. Go watch it again. Let me know in the comments. Was that a bug or not? I'm pretty sure that was a bug. I did not see any damage come through on that first charge. That's wild, if that's the case. Because that's huge, right? Like, it does start to add up. Maybe he gets in an extra attack, and maybe that's going to be the difference between a kill. And beautiful block with the scout. He gets the charge on the knight with the block on the scout. Just beautiful stuff coming in from Lucifron. And now we can see him looking to guard this relic. You know they're going to be moving into the religious units now. And we do see monks in queue for both players. So, already, we've got ourselves a large number of knights on the field, but interestingly, no crossbows yet. I think what they're probably looking for, at least this is the way I would be thinking about it, is you want to build up with the knights to start with, but you don't really want to get your crossbows out until you can start affording a mass of them. So maybe just staying mobile out on the map until you can maybe hit that sort of 8, 9 knight numbers, because the thing is, you don't need to take a fight with your knights. You're always going to be able to run away. You're always going to be able to escape. And then you can start thinking about crossbows. Maybe that's me just coping. Who knows? We'll have to see. Knights now looking to try and charge in against each other. Beautiful double charges in on both sides. No upgrades for either player just yet. Do we see crossbows just yet? No, it's just going to be full knights. This is wild to me. And I mean, this is influencing my gameplay, right? Because for me as an English main, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make crossbows and I'm going to make knights and I'm going to, you know, I'm trying to big brain it here. Meanwhile, you know, I've got the brain the size of a walnut compared to these guys. So these guys have mapped it all out, and I think that's another thing to note is that, you know, we've been away from competitive Age of Empires for quite some time. So everyone's been in their own little silos. Like you've had Beastie practicing with Marine Lord, you've had the Muslim practicing with, I don't know, sort of. You've had Recon practicing with the Mister, and then you've had Vortex and Lucifron practicing together. They don't practice with anybody else. I mean, they might occasionally practice with somebody else. Maybe Vortex has got to go to the dentist or something like that. So Lucifron will practice with Beastie, but for the most part, it's very siloed. And so I think it's quite interesting here because they know each other's strengths, they know each other's weaknesses, and they know each other's strategies. And we start to see that unfolding with both civs picked on this map being English and both of them moving into double. Look at this, he moves up. Oh my god, that's a huge brain tactic. Brings the longbows up to point blank range and puts the palings out. And he says, come on, you want to do me? Do me right here, baby. Wow. That was awesome. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That was a huge brain move. I mean, it didn't work. Lucifron backed out, but Vortex won the fight, right? Because Lucifron has to back out, and then Vortex gets a couple extra hits in because Lucifron has to cancel any of his existing hits. So, like, that's quite funny. I don't think I anticipated that. I'm going to be honest. I did not anticipate that at all. Who would have thought that we would see the longbows coming to be the saviors today? And look at the knight numbers coming out from these guys. It's interesting to me that we don't see crossbows at this point. I would have expected like maybe even like a double archery range dropped down into just mass crossbow spams at this point, but we don't see that at all. So we did so when we were testing crossbow knight, we were doing like reverse testing, which basically means I would play crossbow knight against my enemy who would be doing like full knights, and then we would flip it. I would then be on the full knights and then they would be on the crossbow knight, and in all circumstances the crossbow knights just came out so much further ahead. So it's very curious to me that we're not seeing that. So I don't know, maybe Vortex and Lucifron didn't test that. I'm sure that they probably did. But yeah, interestingly, we don't see that. It's just going to be a very big focus on the mobility here. And I guess that's another thing to note is that you do have that added mobility with these units. Interestingly, Spear is going to be added for Vortex. And Spears are one of those units that can force a fight, right? Like if you've got 20 Spears on your doorstep, you have to fight them. You've got to react to them. There's no real opportunity for you to go back and begin looking to try and get some longbows out or something like that. You've got to deal with them immediately. But Sacred Sites, going to start getting captured. Relics, it's 2-2 at the moment. Third one is being guarded up down here on the south side by Vortex. I am liking Vortex's position. The fact that he is going into Spears as well. It's an interesting sign. tell you what, I'm enjoying this. This is really. I feel like there's a part of me that's studying and a part of me that's casting, and definitely it's a larger part that is studying right now. I'm really trying to learn everything, and a knight does get in on the backside. That's going to be the first worker kill of the game. Almost picks up a second right there. And you can see just how little damage these town centers are doing to the knight. The knight hasn't yet picked up +1 ranged armor, so it's going to be taking 2 damage a pop, but still coming in on the backline. And remember that the knight can ignore the enemy knight because it can just go after the villagers and then run away. But I think it is going to sacrifice itself to get the kill on the vills. And we do see a 2 worker difference now. So Lucifron eking out a tiny little bit of an advantage there. At the same time, Sacred Site's getting captured. That's going to be 1 in the northeast side going over to Lucifron. So definitely a bit of a slight economic advantage here. But look at this on the other side. Veteran longbows, veteran spears. What do they know that I don't? I guess it's that spears are actually quite decent here. Sacred Site in the north going to get picked up as well. This relic is still being guarded. We don't actually see any religious units moving down towards that position. But hold the phone. We've got a potential fight happening on the south side. Look at the way these spears are moving. +1 range, or +1 melee armor coming through. Longbow's going to be looking to tee off as well. He gets the early warning sign. And now he knows his enemy's making spears, so we start to see longbow production increasing. Obviously, he's already picked up those veteran longbows. We're now going to have to retreat away from this position. Up towards the north. Knight going to be able to take out the scout. Prevents it from neutralizing the Sacred Site, and then heads on up to the north. Even further to neutralize the Sacred Site of his enemy. Where are those monks? There they are. So he's got an option here. He can look to pick up the relic and then take the Sacred Site, or just ignore the Sacred Site. There's a part of me that kind of wants to pick up the relic and just go home, because I'm very safe, but then there's a part that's like, maybe we just take the Sacred Site. We're already down here. We might as well. But then you risk losing the relic. And there is a risk. Spearman number's quite high now. Up to 22 spears. Jeez, look at these knight numbers. It is a knight warfare right now. 24 knights against 26 knights. Sacred Site in the north, neutralizing. Little bit of a fight over here on this top side. Upgrades starting to come through. We see our +1s. Melee armor, melee attack for one player. Ranged armor and melee attack for the other. And now this is it. There's no way you're going to fight against these spears. I'm not going into... See, the thing is, I'm not going into the cinematic mode because I know that Lucifron is not going to be able to take this fight. He can't take this fight. There's way too many spears. Lucifron, don't do it. He charges in towards the center. He's got to backtrack. There's no way he can compete with this many spearmen. We can see the knights looking to try and chase them. He brings in his own spears towards the front, but the spear numbers are still really, really solid here. You can see the way that they're looping around the back. Just the numbers are kind of crazy. Villagers on standby, ready to go. Obviously, no keep's going to get dropped, and Lucifron going to have to back away from this. The spear numbers are way too high. Lucifron, what are you doing? You cannot take this fight. He has to evacuate, but the problem is he's got no other source of wood. He's looking to try and hold on. He's got this defensive bonus. The network of castles is helping him out, but still look how many numbers are coming in from his brother. Vortex is overwhelming him in this English mirror. Now the village is going to be under pressure, under attack. There's a lot of low health units in here. The reinforcements could be able to clean it up, and maybe Vortex has delved a little bit too deep into the caverns that are Lucifron's base. And slowly but steadily, these weakened units do get whittled down, and Lucifron manages somehow to hold on those reinforcements. Look at them as they come out. Begins dropping down barracks as well. Barracks? What's the plural of barracks? It's like sheep. What's the plural of sheep? Sheep. Barracks. It's the same. That was pretty quick. And fish. Apparently fish, the plural of fish is fish, except if you're talking about different species, in which case they're fishes. There you go. Interesting stuff, Drunko. Thanks for the tip. I don't care, though. All right, but you know what you should care about? You should care about these knights in your economy. Look at those worker destroyed work. No, just worker kills. That's the one I want. He takes out 17 workers. And despite that, somehow, only a 4 villager difference. I don't know what's happened. How can you take out 17 workers and still only be... Wait, what? Oh, did he just delete fishing boats? Oh, I think he just deleted fishing boats. Okay, that's probably the difference. Vortex hasn't deleted fishing boats, though. There's a little bit of food back here. I don't know why he deleted them. Or maybe it did. Surely the counter didn't take that long to update. There's no possible way. That is instantaneous. Surely. All right. I'm liking the composition that's coming out from Lucifron, and I'm learning a lot here. I find it so strange that none of them are going into crossbows whatsoever. You know, you can look at like 15 to 16 crossbows, start one-shotting these knights, and it makes a huge difference. Somebody tell them. Somebody tell the world's best players about my my assessment. Come on, please. Anybody. All right, we'll take a look behind the scenes, see how things are going. Dock's going to be going down, but I mean, at what cost? It doesn't really matter. You know, you take the dock out, but sure. North side is completely walled off. He's going to be looking to take sacred sites again. This relic never got taken. I'm not sure what happened down here. Relic never got taken. Sacred site never got taken. Couple knights looking to try and break through. There's going to be knights to catch them, and longbows as well. I'm surprised he didn't put down the palings. We've seen him do it before. Or at least we've seen Vortex do it before. Jeez, I tell you what an English mirror. This has turned out pretty good. Because they are pretty much mirroring each other. The only difference was that Vortex went for spears a lot earlier, pushed out a little bit too far, got a bit too excited, fought into the network of citadels or network of castles. Now, interestingly, you can't actually get the network of citadels upgrade unless you go for the White Tower or you go for the Berkshire Palace. That's the only way you're going to get it, because you can't make keeps in this game mode. Take a look at these villages. They don't have access to the keep. It's not possible to make a keep. So something to keep in mind. Get it? Keep in mind. Anyway, numbers still looking really even. 164 against 160. These guys are so evenly matched. And now we get that cinematic mode. He needs to get this outpost up. He wants to get that network of Citadel bonus. It's not in on Vortex's units, despite being outside of his base. He's trying his best to get it up. Units continue streaming in here. The knight numbers have dwindled, but at the same time, the spearman numbers are looking overwhelming for Lucifron. All of a sudden, the position's starting to look a little bit better for him, despite not having those expensive knight units. And now, pushing in towards his brother, he's going to be able to repel him, and look how many spears he's got left over. This is beautiful. The double outpost comes up at the exact same time. And now those reinforcements streaming in from both sides of the screen. These are the English economies that we often talk about and cite as being so damn strong at this point in the game. They are beginning to overwhelm, and Lucifron starts pushing back. His brother Village is getting in on the action as well. Everybody to the fore right now. He's trying his best to take it out, and it's going to be a good game. Lucifron victorious in the first game against his brother. This is a best of 5. We're going to be casting all 5 games of these, so don't go anywhere. The next game coming up is going to be game number 2. You better be watching it. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to cast it, and I'm going to enjoy it. Catch you guys in the next one.